Hello and welcome to Wild Questions, the RSPB's brand new podcast, where our guests will ask the silliest nature questions they can think of, and then we go to the experts for the serious answers. I'm Yasmin.
And I'm Jamie.
And we are two people who work for the RSPB in different ways. If you don't know us, I look after the TikTok, and Jamie...
I look after the magazine, the RSPB magazine, in print and digital form.
So at the RSPB, our purpose isn't just to do nature conservation, it's to educate the public about it. A big part of that is learning about all aspects of the natural world, from the mundane to the incredible. And what a better way to cover such wide ground than through the unique curiosity and perspectives of people themselves. So that's our guest job, to ask questions that have us exploring the natural world in ways we might not have done otherwise. And for you, our dear listeners, Wild Questions means actual conversations about nature, sparked by wonder and silliness, revealing things you never knew you needed to know. Today, we are joined by the amazing Indy Pine. If you've never heard of Indy Pine before, I'm sure you have because you've probably seen her amazing TikToks. Indy, I love your TikToks because I feel like they're very nature adjacent. Like, even when you're making memes and funny content, there's always like something where I'm like, I love nature. Like the series that you've done, the medieval series, it's off the top of my head, On the Table, something rotunda
Knights
table.
of the Rotund Table, yeah.
I love that. That is my favorite thing at the moment. I always, when it started to pop up on my For You page, I was like, oh my god, this is getting a bit too personal now. Like my FYP knows me way too much. But could you talk more about kind of what your experience is being on TikTok and your relationship with nature?
Yeah, so I kind of started doing TikTok after I left my job at like the start of 2024, because I wasn't very good at my job. Truth be told, it was a lot of admin and I just wasn't good at it. And then I was like, oh, I'll leave this job and I'll go do something better. And then I just started posting on TikTok, which was a very smart career choice, I feel. And I kind of just started making videos and I made a couple about pandas because I was really into pandas. I am still really into pandas, not a past tense thing.
Same. No, I'm with you.
But no one else in my life really cared to hear about all these pandas and their individual like stories and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna post on TikTok. Maybe a couple people will enjoy it. And then people really enjoyed it. So it kind of went from pandas to other animals. And then this was around the time that Mudeng kind of made her appearance, was getting a lot of popularity.
Oh, Mudeng!
My queen.
Love her. Diva.
And
A true
I
diva.
love her. And then Pesto showed up, and then people were pitting Pesto and Mudeng against each other. And I was like, why?
So you were in the middle of like an animal civil war.
I had to speak to the people. I had to like try and negotiate some peace. I was like, no, they should be queening out together.
They should be divaing out, exactly.
Yeah, they're not enemies. They're allies. And I was like, no, they're actually all together. They are the Knights of the Rotan Table. And I kind of just came up with that day. And then I was like, I hope people like this because this is a bit of a deviation from the panda videos I normally post. People really liked it. And then I was like, you know what? Let's add a few more to the table. There was like 20 odd knights on the round table. It turns out typically there was like 300, but
Love.
numbers really vary. But I was like, okay, I'll add 20 more animals. People can vote it in. And I made like a whole poll. And then suddenly everyone, like overnight, people started voting in. And then it kind of just very quickly took off. And now I'm doing a kind of a global version where each country gets a representative knight that people vote in.
So you're creating kind of like world peace through cute pandas.
Yeah. And I think 2 more months and I will have achieved it, I think.
We are so glad to have you on the podcast because I feel like it aligns with everything that the RSPB is doing at the moment. Very similar to like Bird of the Week and all the chaos that we've got going on TikTok. So today we asked you to ask us some questions about pigeons. Well, actually, we asked you to ask us anything you wanted, and you gave us a lot of pigeon and bird related questions that I'm not going to lie, our team of fact checkers love you. So our own team of scientists, the professional people behind the RSPB, were like, hell yeah, this is great. But before we get started, I wanted to do a little quiz. A little quiz segment. Don't worry, there's no studying needed for this. I have a little segment called "Is it a bird name, or have I made this up entirely?" Because why not? So I'm going to give you some names, and you need to tell me if this is a real bird or if I've just pulled this out of thin air.
Yeah.
Okay. So first one, banana quit.
I'm going to say no. You made no?
It's real.
Let's stop that.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. It's
No.
real. Yeah. Yeah.
What does that bird look like? Is it yellow?
Not that much. Not
Oh,
enough to be called a banana quit. You'd
oh,
think it's got some like varied plumage, but like no, not enough for that name.
yeah.
Okay, next one. The Great Crested Tibbler.
That sounds real.
Shame it's a lie. I
Oh
love
my God.
lying. I love lying. Do you see how hard this is? I feel like people like whatever ornithologists are like cooking up new names for birds,
Mhm.
they're just pulling it out of thin air because some of these don't sound real, but they are. Next one is the blue-footed booby.
Oh. Ooh. Real?
Yes!
Oh,
Congratulations! You got one
you know
right.
what?
Okay.
I had no basis for that. I was just like, let's just pick one.
We're so back. We're so back. They're quite viral on TikTok, so it might have been like a subconscious thing in the back of your mind where you'd seen a meme.
Yeah.
Next one is the yellow-tailed hoblin.
Uh, mm, I've I don't know many yellow-tailed birds personally, so maybe yes.
No. No, I'm so sorry. I'll give you another one. Okay. So, the fluffy-backed tit babbler.
Oh, I want to say real because I really like that one.
Yeah, it is real.
Oh,
It
yay!
is real.
I need to know more
Oh,
about that one later.
if you were going to make up a bird name off the top of your head, what would you call said bird?
I would call it like the fat-bellied pickler.
Nice.
Oh, I would say it would be like a fat-bellied,
Yep.
and I would say it looked almost like a pickle in shape.
Okay. Color wise, like feather wise, what are we talking?
I'm thinking dark green. We're sticking with the pickle theme,
Okay.
and I think it would look like a very large feathered pickle.
So somewhere there is like a freak of nature bird that looks like a pickle somehow floating around in the sky,
As it
barely
should
at this
be.
point, barely. Right, so the main topic of this podcast is we asked you to ask our experts questions as silly as they are, and they got back to you. So, would you like to, firstly, before we get into it, would you like to tell us why you wanted to ask these questions specifically about pigeons? What is your love and interest of pigeons?
So I have a big interest in animals in history, particularly when animals have done things you don't expect them to be doing. And I knew a little bit about war pigeons from the greatest war film of all our time, the 2005 animated film Valiant, starring Ewan
Love.
McGregor,
Mm.
which is about war pigeons. Not that many people have seen it. It's a bit of a cult classic to me, maybe.
An
It's a one-person
underground, an
cult.
underground classic. Not
Yeah,
appreciated in
it's
its
an
time.
indie film, really.
Mm.
But I didn't know much about the actual work they did in the war, and nor did I really realize that Valiant was based off like actual war pigeons. I just thought people in the studio were cooking up like, oh, what if we sent these pigeons to war and then let's make an animated film. I didn't know pigeons were actually at war.
The pigeons were at war.
They
Yeah.
were at war. They were fighting for our lives. To be honest, me and pigeons have had our issues in the past, but we have kind of resolved them. But that's just because I've been hit in the head by a couple pigeons, a bit too, like too many for where it starts to feel a bit personal.
Yeah.
But I've become really appreciative of them recently. And I think like reading about them, kind of like the individual pigeons at war and stuff, you become really like fond of them.
Mm.
And I think people really need that because I think we really need to beat the rats with wings allegations.
Yeah. I hate it. I
I
hate
hate
it.
it. And I think this really will like make people really fond of them and like kind of increase their affection for them because they're very intelligent. And I think no one knows, everyone just looks at pigeons like these dumb birds.
Mm.
No, they're very, very intelligent. And I didn't realize how intelligent they were until I looked at all like the training they did and how they can send messages and my mind was blown.
Jamie, you know how smart pigeons and generally birds are, don't you?
So, like Indy, my first introduction to pigeons doing things you don't expect them to do, particularly in a war sense, was also animation,
Mhm.
and it was Dastardly and Muttley in their flying machines.
Oh my gosh,
So, so
yes.
this was
Okay.
late 70s, early 80s, and Dick Dastardly and Muttley, who I think was less committed to the cause, were flying around with their fellow pilots trying to stop this messenger pigeon, this carrier pigeon, taking a message through to presumably the British or American troops. So yeah, that was my first introduction. But they are interesting birds. I mean, we kind of picture them as sort of going around cities with tiny brains and not knowing really know what they're doing. But that couldn't be further from the truth. I've seen them get on the tube. But first of all, we'll do a little bit of a pigeon 101, so we're all completely on the same page.
Okay.
Now, we the three of us probably know quite a bit of this anyway, but just in case anyone's missed out on some pigeon info, the ones that we see around the cities, like the ones I've seen hopping on and off the district line, are the feral pigeons. Feral because they are descended from domesticated birds. We'll come back to that later. The other UK pigeon with pigeon in its name is the wood pigeon, which is a chunkier bird, much more widespread than its feral cousin. And actually, this year it moved up to the third spot in the RSPB Big Garden Birdwatch results.
Hell
And
yeah.
if you look back at the Garden Birdwatch results, back, since it started in 1979, the wood pigeon, the increase of the wood pigeon appearing in gardens is like shot up. It's just absolutely amazing. What an adaptable bird. And that's one of the incredible things about pigeons and doves. They adapt to that environment around them.
Full context, Big Garden Birdwatch is the Super Bowl for the RSPB and birders. It's basically where people go into their garden and they're like, hey, these are the birds in my garden, and then they tell the RSPB, and then we pull all the results together like the Super Bowl or like some kind of like weird Olympics for birds. And we find out which bird is the most common. It's usually a house sparrow. Not gonna lie, pigeons
Yeah.
are only number 3. You'd think that they would be number 1, right? You would be like, yeah, I see them everywhere, but no.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
actually think Big
Okay,
House
great.
Sparrow is paying for pigeons to be on the 3rd spot, paying for slander against pigeons, putting out smear campaigns about them being rats with wings because they can't stand not being number 1. But Jamie, keep pigeon dumping on us. Whoa. See what I did there?
This will be more pleasant than that sounded. Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm going to make the social media joke superb owl because that's how we prefer to think of it,
Oh
as a
yeah.
superb owl. Now we have to talk about doves. Doves and pigeons are pretty much the same thing. So stock doves, collared doves, and the turtle dove. That if you're watching pictures of this, you see a little turtle dove perched near my shoulder there. They are all cousins of the street pigeon. Turtle dove being the rare one
Agreed.
that's we're mostly concerned about at the moment. There is one more family member to mention. So this tells you a little bit about the story of the pigeon, and that's the rock dove. So rock doves you would have traditionally seen on cliff faces amongst the seabirds around the UK,
Not
and that's
rockers in
why
like rock and roll, like they're not like in a mosh pit. They're like on the
they
cliffs.
could be. They
They
could be. I
they
mean,
could
not.
be.
Yeah,
They're not at the moment, but like I feel like that's the next organizational move for us is like getting birds in the mosh pit. No,
mosh birds. Mosh birds. Yeah. So when you see them on the on the sides of buildings, they are mimicking that habitat that the rock dove would have come in. So rock doves were domesticated for thousands of years. I think I saw something the other day saying people first started domesticating these birds like could be 5,000 years, which sounds slightly too long to me, but thousands of years anyway, for various uses. Over that time, lots of them escaped or got released, and that's where the feral pigeon has come from. So pretty much the same thing as a rock dove. Rock doves are still distinct, but I think they're interbreeding a lot with feral pigeon now, so there's probably not a lot of those left. One of the last things I wanted to say right now is that the reason that they have been used for some of these purposes is their ability to fly really, really long distances, and to find their nests over huge long distances as well. So we'll come back to that in a minute.
they're very committed to long distance relationships. Like they're really on that, and I respect them for it.
They're lover birds.
Love the birds, love the
Yeah.
birds, mating for life type beat. More committed than I could find in a relationship. So you asked us a lot of questions.
I also, for context for any of the listeners, I did send over a 10-page slideshow, I think, of
Yes,
a
yes.
lot. And I went, I really hope they like this because
Our
it's so
our
much.
fact checking team loves you personally. Like they all went to follow you after that. They were like,
I love them.
can you bring more of the TikTok people? Because I look after our TikTok. So whenever
Yeah.
I have a question, I'll go to our poor team of like people who've spent their entire lives dedicated to this. That includes Jamie. And I'll be like, hey, haha, someone's asked if an eagle could fight a toddler, and they're like, I'll go check, and they do the math, and then they tell me, and I'm like, thanks, bye.
Like kind of the general one was, how do you teach a pigeon to do what? I don't understand. I don't understand. I understand how it kind of started, but who had the idea to like pick up a pigeon and go, hear me out, let's draft these guys? Who was training them?
Yeah, who thought, you know what's great in wartime? A pigeon.
A pigeon.
A pigeon. Guys, forget
That's what we're missing.
Forget
That's how
Forget the
that-
weapons.
Yeah.
Forget the weapons. You need a pigeon. So from what I've read, this may well have started in Roman times. So it may well have been used in
Yeah.
Roman battles. This strategy. So I was saying they fly really long distances, which for one that's part of it. The distance flying is incredible, the stamina required, and that's why a lot of remote islands around the world have got pigeons or descendants of pigeons that have turned into all sorts of weird and wonderful shapes and forms, flightless, not flightless, colourful. That's why you get a lot of pigeons and doves on remote islands, but also that innate sense of being able to find the nest. So to use them in a war, to use them to carry messages over a long distance, you set up the nest at a chosen location. So your nest might be, this is your nest. You're here. You're back at base. This is where you come back to, and then you transport them. You pop them on a truck or a plane or a ship. You take them a really long way away, and hopefully by this point the pigeon is remember where the nest is. But mostly it will, and you put a note on it. I don't know if you stick a post-it note on it or you. I don't know. I think they strap the little harnesses on, don't they, with a little tiny tube with a message rolled up in. And then your pigeon just knows where to go back to that nest. So back they go, and nothing will stop them until they get back to that nest site.
Why do they? Sorry, I think this was something you asked as well, Indy. How do they know where to go? Like in their brains, why are they like, I need to go this way? Like if I turn left in the sky right now, I'll end up two rights away from where my street is. Like how do they know?
They had no Google Maps. They had nothing.
They had no Google Maps. They have no compasses. They're just on vibes.
Here we are. We've been doubting pigeons, calling them rats on wings, and look at all these amazing achievements. So, we don't entirely know 100%, but we have quite a few good ideas. So, visual landmarks obviously play a big part. The sun, infrasound, magnetic fields is quite a big one. We think that magnetic fields do influence where the pigeon will be able to go to. And even atmospheric odors for navigation. Again, not a huge amount is known about any of these things, but magnetic fields and odors are two things that I know are being talked about.
I like that pigeons like innately know where to go for so many different reasons without Google. They have no compass, no Google Maps. They're just
No.
purely going on vibes and vibes alone, and I can really respect that.
You put me 1 mile away from my house, I'm not coming back. I don't know how.
Same. I'll come out of a shop and I'll go straight back the way I came,
Yeah.
not having intended to do so because I just can't do left or right. So,
No,
so
not at all.
to think that a pigeon can do better than us is
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it?
They go over seas. And
Yeah.
then like in seas it's just it's just water. But
Yeah.
they know where to go.
Didn't you ask about notable war pigeons? I think that was
Mm.
the next thing you asked about, Indy, and we did the research. We got names for you. We got names.
Oh,
We've got like medal badge wearing pigeons who were in the war. Which now I'm thinking about it, can you imagine? I was thinking about this while Jamie was talking, and it's the ADHD, but like I was thinking about this. Can you imagine the tiny little harnesses that they had to make for the pigeons to put their little notes in
that's
and
so
like
cute. Who was
little
designing those?
right? What like ye old
Yeah.
leather maker is going, okay, I need to make these military uniforms and I need to make these bird military uniforms. They need to be this small. Like imagine just stitching this tiny little jacket.
I was born to
together.
be a pigeon seamstress, I think.
I was born to be a pigeon seamstress as well. I think this is a business we need to set up together because I think there's a market for it at this point.
I think there is.
But also, imagine like little pigeons being given their Medal of Valor.
There are pictures of some of them receiving
I
their
know, with that
like,
tiny
and
little.
it's so cute.
Oh my god, do they even know what's going on?
I think we should have more award ceremonies for animals.
Oh,
I totally
absolutely.
agree.
Absolutely. Even like not even like actual awards, like no nonsense awards. Like I want to give a pigeon an award for being the fattest pigeon I've ever seen.
Yeah, as we should.
Chunkiest pigeon.
We should
Chunkiest
start
pigeon
Fat,
award.
Fat Bird Week.
Fat Bird Week.
What would you give as an award though? What do you think a pigeon would want to receive? I'm assuming some sort of food related
Yeah,
item.
yeah, a trophy made out of food for pigeons.
Yes.
Because there's lots of things that pigeons eat. Probably some berries. Maybe an award made out of berries, wild berries. That would be nice for them.
corn.
This is kind of making me
Um,
hungry. The pigeon in me is getting quite like, this is nice. I don't got that dog in me. I got that pigeon in me. Jamie, we researched the actual pigeons,
We have.
the notable war pigeons. So would you like to tell Indy their names and the medals that they got and what they did and let us
Oh,
know?
I've got a few. I've got a few. So the lovely people at the People's Dispensary for Sick Animals (PDSA) have a medal that's given. So this is the PDSA Dickin Medal, which is awarded to animals that make incredible contributions to their military service. So it's essentially the Animals Victoria Cross. So I'll read you some of these. So Winky. These are all pigeons, by the way. Winky was the first PDSA Dickin Medal recipient in February 1943 for assisting a downed bomber crew in the North Sea.
Oh my
So incredible.
gosh.
And down Bombecker in the North Sea. Gustav, the first pigeon to deliver a message from the Normandy beaches on D-Day.
Yes, Gustav.
Gustav's medal is now on display at the D-Day store in Portsmouth.
Guys, I think we need to make a trip because I need to see his medal.
I would like to see this too.
Winky has a statue.
Really?
Really?
Just
Oh,
Winky though. Just Winky.
amazing. Just
Dundee.
wing. How big is the statue? Is it pigeon size? Is it
No, no, it's so she
vast?
it's bronze.
Yeah.
It's just outside Dundee and it's fairly big from the looks of it. She's got her wings out, so it's like fairly big.
Okay. So we should definitely have more. We'll come back to this
We'll come
later.
back to this.
Yes. To be continued. Mary of Exeter demonstrated outstanding endurance. So they went through a lot of these pigeons. Mary of Exeter survived multiple injuries and continued service despite being wounded by shrapnel and attacked by a German hawk.
Oh my God,
Because as we were saying
Mary.
earlier, the German side were releasing hawks to catch the pigeons.
Yeah, were they so explain the like kind of dynamics of how different because it wasn't just pigeons that were used, Jamie, was it? There were other birds used in war.
Other birds were used in war, but and for different purposes. So obviously we needed a lot of resources at the time. Canaries were used in coal mines. You probably heard this one before. The canaries go down. If the canary survives, it's safer for the miners to go down and breathe in whatever gases are down there. So that was a particular thing during the war. So yeah, so there's a few other pigeons that were awarded, but as you said, other birds too probably do deserve this kind of recognition. Just a couple more. G.I. Joe was an American pigeon who flew 20 miles in 20 minutes, delivering a message
Wow.
prevented the bombing of at least 100 Allied soldiers. And
Wow.
Commando got the PDSA Dickin model for delivering 3 messages from agents in occupied France under extremely difficult conditions. Now, I just want to add, because I've got this amazing book, which I will wave at the camera now. So this is by Nicholas Milton. It's The Role of Birds in World War One. So the pigeons we just talked about are the World War Two pigeons. So World War One, there was a bird called Cher Ami, or Dear Friend, who saved the lives of nearly 200 men despite injuries. So, despite injuries, shot through the breast, blinded in one eye, had a leg hanging on by only one tendon. It's an incredibly brave bird, but saved all these lives. So, yeah, these birds often got injured, but they were recognised and rewarded at the end. But one thing that I've found in this book, which is fascinating, is that way before the RSPB magazine, we had Bird Notes and News, which was our first ever magazine. And in 1918, the end of the First World War, that magazine, the RSPB's magazine, actually called for those birds, those pigeons, to be recognised basically as war heroes. The RSPB, even at that time, was saying you need to recognise the efforts that these birds have put in and all the work and the injuries and saving all these human lives.
Indy, how do you feel about that now knowing the names of these war heroes?
Well, you kind of just, I think when you know their names and the kind of their individual stories, you just feel so like a bit more connected to them because it's not just saying, oh, war pigeons did this, but no, you hear about the very specific stories of like I think Jeremy losing his leg
Mm.
and his left eye, and you're like, oh, he really fought for us. That is a veteran.
I love where your brain is at. And
Mhm.
speaking of where your brain is at, the next question you asked, and I want to ask you why you asked this. Can you train a pigeon to defend itself? What
Yes.
circumstances have you seen pigeons in where they need to defend themselves?
Well, often it's either with each other. I've seen a few, scraps between pigeons
Pigeon
over
on pigeon
pigeon
violence,
on
yeah.
pigeon violence. It's a real issue in our country,
Mm.
particularly over breadcrumbs. That's a real issue. But I think when I was reading about the German warhawks, and I went, hold on, German warhawks, whatever do you mean? Did the pigeons know that was coming?
Jump scare.
Yeah, I was like,
German hawks, yeah.
were they warned about that? But they were still getting attacked. So surely, in the same way we'd be training our soldiers to defend themselves against the enemy, were we not training the birds?
Are you imagining them in little boot camps, like doing little push-ups with twigs and
Yeah,
like going, oh, one, two? Because I
yeah,
kind of think when people are like, I'm gonna train a pigeon, oh, you're sending your pigeon to like boot camp, like
yeah.
it's gonna start doing press ups and stuff.
I think because when I heard about the National Pigeon Service, I was like, I just imagined like the National Service,
But for pigeons,
but for pigeons. So I was like, they're gonna get drafted, like they're just kind of imagining like a World War like base camp, but replace humans with pigeons. That's exactly what I think.
on a tinier scale as well.
Yeah,
So like inside the military base of a regular military base,
yeah,
just on a smaller scale in a
yeah.
nest somewhere. I yeah, yeah.
And I'm imagining military ranks for the pigeons. Like there's a I'm imagining there is a commander.
A larger pigeon, maybe like a wood pigeon,
Yeah, I
perhaps would
would
be
say the
interesting.
fattest pigeon, that's how you
Yeah.
rise through the military ranks.
The alpha pigeon is given commander status.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I love that. Jamie, how do you train a pigeon to defend itself?
It's tricky. It's tricky. An individual pigeon is still a vulnerable pigeon, so there's not a lot of training that can change that when you're up against a predator or other dangers. But when they work together as a flock, they have got some self-defense techniques. So there was some research done from Royal Holloway at University of London. Pigeons, or at least the domesticated rock doves, chase with a robotic falcon. I've never seen a robotic. That's just blown my mind. So rather than flying to the center of the flock to escape the predator, the robotic falcon, therefore saving themselves at the expense of others left at the edge of the flock, the whole flock flies off in the same direction away from the attacker, attempting to save all members of the group.
Oh, they're
So they
empaths.
join as one. So yeah, that's quite cool. I've not heard of that in other pigeon species. I think that we talked about the levels of the military, and I think there are pecking orders. But that's a really interesting piece of research. Yeah, robotic falcons. Who knew?
Indy, did that answer your question? And what do you think about that?
Honestly, I was thinking about like the Warhawks. I feel like the pigeon should have been given some sort of armor. Not
Mm.
so much armor their wing way down and they can't fly, but just something. A little outfit perhaps. That would have probably saved a lot of pigeons. But we weren't there, so we couldn't tell them that.
We couldn't have.
Yeah.
If I was a time traveler, I would go back in time and be like, guys, give them spiky.
We need to give them some spiky vests.
We need to give them some spiky. Trust me on this one, guys. Trust me. I know. I'm a time traveler. Don't matter about anything else.
Nothing else is important as
Nothing
this.
else. Forget the lottery numbers. Give the pigeons spiky vests. Indy, before we end, you have something to show us, I think.
I do.
Please explain
My
what
passion
you're about
project.
to show us in case anybody who isn't watching is listening through their ears. Please explain for the people who
So,
aren't seeing this.
so after I saw the statue that Winky had in Dundee, I went, well, surely other pigeons have their own statue.
Mm,
They are on the War Memorial in London, but they're on the stone, where it's like carved into stone. They're really small on there. They're very like kind of up in the corner.
okay.
I feel like they do need their own one because they were so integral. So here's my campaign to
Okay.
get a pigeon statue. This is also my design, my idea. Here it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Do you want to explain it for anybody who can't see it?
What I'm showing is a statue that's in the style of a helter-skelter, and on the slide there are various smaller statues of the pigeons. These are going to be the individual pigeons that we discuss, like Mary of Exeter, and Cherami. And I thought a helter-skelter would be fun because then it gives the pigeons something to do as like a little treat for the war, and then also represents the freedom to have fun that their ancestors fought for. The smaller statues of the pigeons that are adorning the slide, they're all going to be made of solid gold.
Of course.
But then that does pose a bit of security risk. People might try to steal this gold pigeons. So I have thought we train the pigeons
Okay.
to work security
Hmm.
24/7 so that the statue is always safe.
Of course.
And then I've also accounted for budget because various solid gold statues,
Mm,
bit of an expense. So we're going to train the pigeons to pull off a sort of a jewel heist.
okay.
How are
with
we
you.
going to do that? Haven't got that far.
They could do it in Ocean's 11, is it? I'm sure
Yeah.
that we could do that. We could just make them watch Ocean's 11 and then go, okay, now do that.
And I'll do that. Yeah.
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 I can definitely find 11 pigeons. I think I only need one, frankly.
Maybe another one to keep him company.
Yeah. I've seen a pigeon steal a sandwich. They can steal a couple diamonds.
I like that you've really thought this through. Here's the thing: would the Helter Skelter be operational? Could people use
Yes.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's for the pigeons to have fun. They
Oh,
just,
but
Ah.
so the pigeons would slide down it, not people.
no. Oh, yeah, no, not real people. Oh,
Okay.
no, this is for the pigeons.
I think this is brilliant, and I'd be fascinated to see how pigeons interact with it because pigeons are notorious for pooing on statues. So
I
perhaps
thought
they
about
would
this.
leave this one. I go on.
Pigeons are going to be trained to clean as well. But we're going to have pigeons with little sponges on their feet.
Oh,
Ah,
Everything's
you've really
accounted
thought
for.
this through. You've really thought this through. What about
Passion
other
project.
birds that try and crash in on the war memorial?
Again, that's a security issue. They will be trained to be like, no, sorry guys, no, not tonight.
Well, do you know what? I feel like that is a great place to end and a great place for us to ask if you want to tell the people where to find you, what you've got coming up, or anything you want to shout about. But yeah, thank you for joining us, Indy.
Yeah, thank you. Well, anyone can follow me on TikTok or Instagram at Indie Pine, but it's INDI Pine, like the tree, because INDY Pine was taken. So yeah, and then I've also, if anyone wants to vote in the Global Knights of the Rotund table, please do. We have lots of great nominees for everyone to meet. Lots of birds,
Amazing.
many, many birds.
I'm here for it. I am here for it. Well, thank you so much, Indy.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was our episode with Indie Pine. We have a lot of thank yous to say because this episode would not be what it is without all of our researchers and our amazing team of people who helped make this episode happen.
Big thank you as ever to our wonderful fact check team. Tony Morris, who is our turtle dove expert, the People's Dispensary for Sick Animals, PDSA, and the Imperial War Museum for their help on the research. And I should also mention a thank you to Nicholas Milton, whose wonderful book, The Role of Birds in World War One, helped me out a lot with this episode.
And thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. It might be silly, it might be fun, but it is also going towards an amazing cause and all the amazing things that the RSPB does, aside from making silly bird memes. So thank you specifically for listening to the end. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.